Yo, what's up everybody? In this video, we're going to look at how the Clippers small ball lineup powered them to a big win on Friday. It's always good to look at the negatives before you look into the positives. So I believe in actually looking at a bad play before we get into the nuts and bolts of a good play. Here, Patrick Beverley turns his head because he expects the screen to come on his left side, and it would have. But Marcus Morris Sr. is on the wrong side of this. He should be more towards the left elbow, He's not. Kawhi could dig down to help. So could Nicolas Batum, who is supposed to be the low man. You're going to see Kawhi get mad at Batum, but it's better to give up a 2 than a 3. This is the replay of the play. As we see here in highlight, Marcus Morris is on the wrong side of the screen. He needs to be more dug down at the elbow and allows Mitchell to get downhill with no semblance of any help defense near the rim. Now here's a problem that the Clippers small ball lineup can create for teams defensively. Morris is going to set the screen, which is going to force a switch here. So we're going to end up seeing Derek Favors be the defender on Paul George. Paul George is going to read this. This is a mismatch in favor of the Clippers. George crosses him over to get to the middle of the floor. Rudy Gobert isn't on the floor at this time, but Favors is. George goes up, gets fouled, draws 2 free throws, and goes to the line. A benefit to the small ball lineup for the Clippers is they can switch pretty much everything. But as they go to screen here, Utah that is, here's the screen action that's happening. The Clippers don't switch this. Mitchell's going to think the switch is happening, that he has to attack it, so he hops into this three-point attempt. But Beverley does a good job of swiping at the ball without fouling, and is going to end up forcing Mitchell into a three-pointer that is eventually missed, and the Clippers get the rebound. This small ball lineup for the Clippers is so exquisite at generating wide open space for three-point shooters or driving lanes for other guys. Morris hands off with George here, and they're then going to flow into a little bit of pick and pop with Favors as the help defender as the big. As the pick and pop happens, Morris is going to flare out to the top of the arc. George occupies 2 defenders, is going to pitch it right to Morris at the top. Morris reads the help defender, has to get back to Kawhi Leonard on the wing, and he has a wide open three-point attempt before Favors can recover. Morris is a knockdown three-point shooter, and he makes this. Best way to beat a switching defense is with a slip. Rudy Gobert slips the screen. Conley has a chance to get him the ball, but Batum does a good job of stopping that action a little bit. They're then going to flow into a handoff between Conley and Mitchell. Like I said, the Clippers will switch this, so Batum switches out onto Mitchell. It's going to drive Mitchell right into George, who digs down at the elbow, forces Mitchell to pick up the ball and gather into a tough floater. This is a very tough shot for Donovan Mitchell. He misses, and the Clippers get the board. This small ball lineup for Los Angeles likes to attack what they perceive to be mismatches. And while Bojan Bogdanovic isn't a bad defender, he's someone the Clippers believe they can pick on. Morris sets the screen against Mitchell for George, which forces this switch with Bogdanovic on George. George drives into Bogdanovic, then resets, and is going to re-drive against him. This bump allows George to kind of size him up. He extends the arm, possibly gets away with a little bit of an offensive foul. Goes into the step back mid-range jumper at the nail. It's a shot George can make. It's a little bit tough, but he knocks it down to give the Clippers a 9-point lead. These lineups are all about reading situations and taking advantage of the mismatches and just actual advantages the defense gives you. Another high screen by Morris against Mitchell. This is going to allow George to get downhill against Bogdanovic. He takes him off the dribble. This draws Rudy Gobert off of Patrick Beverley in the corner, which is exactly what the Clippers want. Shot fake by George gets the defender up. He's going to turn middle, which is going to get Gobert up. He spots Beverley in the corner, hits him. Gobert can't get out to him. Patrick Beverley is an excellent three-point shooter, especially from the corners, and Beverley bangs this one home. Switching on defense is such a big thing here. Clippers switch this action at the top. Leonard's going to get out into Bogdanovic and does an excellent job of forcing him to give up his dribble here with this pressure up top. Utah has to reset into a handoff between Gobert and Mitchell. And as Gobert slips this action, George expertly navigates in front of Gobert. As Morris switches, Beverley digs down to force Mitchell to pick up the ball. As Mitchell goes up, this is a tough shot for Donovan Mitchell. He misses, and Paul George helps box out Gobert for the rebound. This is the last play. It is by far the longest and one of the longest plays I've ever tried to diagram, diagnose, dissect, whatever you want to call it. We're in the D's in the dictionary right now. Morris is going to run up to set a screen for Leonard against Royce O'Neal. He makes contact on the screen. This is going to allow Leonard to get over the top. O'Neal does a great job of staying in front of Leonard, but Leonard drives perfectly to the middle of the floor against O'Neal. This is going to draw Gobert over off the corner from Beverley. Leonard's going to throw to Beverley. It's not a great pass, but Beverley does a good job of corralling it. He gets a wide open three-point attempt. Now, he doesn't make this. He made the last one, but he misses this one. But the Clippers compete on the offensive glass. This ball's going to get tipped out, and Marcus Morris's hustle leads him to the ball before anyone else can get there. This allows the Clippers to also catch Utah scrambling, and as we end up seeing, Mitchell's late running back into this play, so it's going to create a problem for Utah where Royce O'Neal doesn't know who he's guarding. He's unsure of where to be. Beverley has the ball. He's left completely open. This is a shot he also makes at a high level. Beverley knocks it down. He gives the Clippers a 13-point lead late in the game. The Clippers go on to hold on in a big win for LA.